Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last BIS Innovation webcast for this year. We're going to go through what we have delivered during Q3 in 2025. And we, in this case, are myself, Ulf Persson, talking to you from Stockholm right now. So good evening, good night, kind of soon in Asia. Good evening, Europe, and good morning to the US. And I also have Christian Gassman with me. Usually we do these together. I will be the kind of moderator, and Christian will walk you through all the details with regards to the quarterly service pack. So let's get into it, Christian. Let's move forward. As always, you will get all the material, the PowerPoint, the recording. If there are questions, as you may know, please fill these into the question chat box. And then we will try to answer those during this hour. And if not, we will definitely follow up with you. If you have feedback at the end of this session, please provide us with this. We always appreciate your feedback with regards to how you want things to be delivered. If there are other requests, questions around the business integration suite, whatever. Appreciate that. Finally, before we go into the details, just to repeat, we do, and we have been, and we still deliver, features and functionality following 5 main pillars: user experience, integration capabilities, technology advantage, operational cost reduction, and deployment models. Over the last year, and starting actually last year, we also tried to introduce AI where applicable, and this is something that we will do moving forward as well. Having said that, Christian, let's get into the details, and then we take it from there. Yes, welcome everyone.
Thank you, Ulf. Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from my side as well. As always, we present you the enhancements for the past quarter. So that ended recently with the release of BIS 6.7.178. So we'll showcase what enhancements and across our 5 pillars we have delivered. The sheer numbers, as you see, again, about 150 individual increments in this past quarter. We have a few demos prepared for you. As usual, we'll show you some enhancements in the platform UI. Always a interesting topic for all attendees to see what has been improved in primarily navigator and monitoring applications. We'll show you a small demo for a new capability in the BIS Mapper around database access and SQL execution. And we'll also highlight the new integration capabilities of the BIS Filetransfer server and the corresponding agent. So these I will show you shortly. In the area of user experience, what have we delivered now in the past quarter? We've made enhancements in process monitoring around handling of search results, private public search results, meaning you can store searches in your own private work area, but you can also make these public to other users for further error resolution, for example. We've added better drill down into the Insights dashboard. We've also improved the integration of the big components like the mapping runtime, the splitter, classifier, content extractor, and similar components. Now with more information in the process monitoring. And we've enhanced the search dialog based on user feedback. In the Master Data Navigator, we've improved primarily the handling of entities and duplicating trading partner and entity setups, being able to recursively duplicate an entire tree of entities, also duplicating or moving multiple entities at the same time, and then also a nice feature to duplicate subtype configurations within the same entity. In message tracking, we added support for an attachment on the fly capability. This is primarily intended to allow further conversion of attachments for visibility purposes. So, for example, taking an in-house flat file and converting it into a more human-readable format that helps the user understand the represented data more clearly. And then finally, in the BIS Mapping Designer, we've made some enhancements around static code analysis. Again, topics for code improvements and code review. Trying to improve here our developer tool. So let me go right into the applications and show you a little bit of our enhancements. I'm starting with the BIS process monitor. Yeah, you can see the standard views. We have made some enhancements in the user settings. You are able now to configure your default screen, so which page or which subscreen you would like to see when you first open the monitor. You can see you may choose insights, you may choose individual process filters as your default. We've also added a setting to allow you to open up the details either in the current tab or create a new tab every time you open process details. Yeah, so a little more enhancements around user feedback and how to work with the applications. Generally, the application there's fewer refreshes also. So when you switch back and forth between different applications in the application chooser, it does not always refresh the screens. It also highlights that briefly as a little reminder. This just allows you to switch back and forth without losing your current view, and also helps making the switches more seamless, since no reload is required, thus reducing the time between switches. In the screen layout, especially in the failed process view, we've made some enhancements in displaying the failure reason. So you see you have the ability here to filter directly by the type of failure and where it occurred in the process. So that makes it easier to filter by fault type more quickly. You can use that same also in the search dialog. So you see here in the searches for failed processes, you get a additional search criteria for the fault reason. So you can pick one or more of these with context assist here. And so searching for those will then present you the particular failed processes in this time range with this particular reason. When I search in the background, you may have already seen this or may already use this. I can save the search as a result. So now I have basically a fixed result of processes that match those search criteria. Can look at these, act on the search result, And I can make that search result now public. So currently, when I do these searches, they are private. They will only show up in my own workspace. If I edit the search result, I can now make it visible to other users. So other users get to see this same information that I have created as a saved search result. So then other users can work on it as well, and we can share the same result set. Let me highlight a few enhancements in the navigator as well. I mentioned that we can now more easily work with entities and duplication, moving entities. A good example is creating, for example, in the B2B solution, a new ERP host system for maybe testing purposes. So rather than having to copy that one by one, I can now duplicate the entire host at once. So duplicate here will duplicate the host itself plus all children automatically in a non-active state as to not create any conflicts in the configuration. And I can now work with this duplicate, can make adjustments to it for testing purposes or to adapt it for a new ERP system, and then activate those entities as needed. Within the configuration of an entity, I also now have the ability to work and copy subtypes. Let me find the right example here. So, for example, a particular entity configuration, you are probably familiar with this form. I can add new configurations here, like setting properties either in the pre or post-processing or final processing area. So I can configure something here. For example, set a certain key to a value. Now, if I decide that I'd like to actually move this from the pre-processing to the post-processing, I can do this now through this little copy drop-down. So I can copy this over, for example, to post-processing with the same already entered configuration. So either I can duplicate it and then remove the old one, so I can more easily switch configuration around rather than having to retype or copy and paste information from one subtype to the other. Yeah, so these are some of the enhancements we have made in the applications for your day-to-day operations, largely based on the user feedback.
Christian?
Go ahead.
Yeah, if you go back to the process monitor, I didn't want to disturb you when you were doing the...
Sure.
Yeah, and then there's a question related to records, number of records. So the question is if you can get a total count at the bottom, for example, you know, that you see a number of records out of. Now you see a total there, but more, make it clearer, I guess. It's the question related to. Maybe it's more of a feature.
Yeah, I believe this is one of the feedback we have, is that we want to see the total number. Right now the limit is set to 1,000, for example, so it will show 1,000, but it the idea is, yeah, to show the total for that time range rather than just what the limit is, and possibly also enhance this with better navigation options to go through a larger subset of records, right? So if you, for example, have a search that returns tens of thousands of records, then display the total number of those records, as well as allowing you to navigate through those records in the entirety.
Okay.
So we do have that in our planning backlog, and we'll work on those enhancements as well.
Okay, cool. Good. I think that was it for now. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So what else have we planned for the user interface? In the navigator, we will have to implement more access controls around the master data transports and how those are created and applied from the source to the target system. In the process monitoring, we are also enhancing the searches with the negative search, so not just searching for specific values, but also searching for records that do not include particular values. And we will also enhance the auto-completion further to allow you to more easily pick the search terms that you're looking for. In the Map Table Manager app, we are also adding better search, specifically full text search within the map tables to allow you to quickly find particular search terms across all configured map tables. And in the Log Viewer app, we are working on, again, improvements around the file handling and especially also the search across multiple instances and various log files within those instances. So better capabilities of handling distributed systems and finding log information across all distributed instances and their various log file instances. In the area of integration capabilities, we've added some enhancements in the AS2 adapter around the support for multi-part attachments. So if you use multi-part attachments within your BIS environment, meaning, for example, map that creates a virtual attachment that consists of 100 attachments, those can now be sent through the AS2 adapter as a multi-part transmission. We are also logging more information around the TLS session parameters, so that allows you to audit your AS2 connections more precisely and determine if there are users, for example, still using outdated TLS versions or parameters. In the AS4 adapter, we've added support for modern cryptographic curves. This is a requirement of the eDelivery 2.0 specification. In the file transfer server, we've made enhancements around the upload requests and the file name handling. I will show a little bit more of that in the demo. And then in the BIS mapping runtime, we've enhanced the SQL pushdown compiler and runtime. Again, I will show this in our demo. So let me bring up the BIS mapper. So in the BIS mapper, when you work with a source system that is a source schema that is located in a database, as an example here, we have a small database consisting of customer definitions, of orders, of agents. Customers have customer codes and names. And we want to read from this database and table and filter certain information based on the customer name. So you see I have a simple map here that defines currently just a static list of 4 customers. And I want to pull the customer ID, the customer grade, and the name into a XML document. So previously, when you execute this map, the result you see on the right-hand side, I get these 4 customers, I get their information pulled into the XML. And what I see in the console is, and I hope this is legible across the webinar, is that we actually perform a lookup into the table 4 distinct times. And this lookup is actually not including a condition. So it's pulling actually all customers from the table 4 times, and then the mapping filters that information basically on its receiving side. So it pulls the 4 customers, but it also queries the database and the entire data set each time it is looking for a particular customer. So that, of course, has performance impact, especially if there's a large database table to be read from, and is not optimal for the purpose of retrieving a small data set from a large table. So what we've introduced now is what we call the pushdown compiler. This can be activated with an annotation you see here, basically just telling the mapping code to push down the filtering of the data set into the SQL statement. So if I activate this and I run the mapping again, the output stays the same. However, the queries that we now push to the database are actually now filtered, right? So the pushdown activates now that the where condition is included in the SQL statement. We're executing the statement 4 times, but these are prepared statements with the customer name as parameter. So this is a much more efficient way of pulling the information from the table. So a simple enhancement, if you use such mappings, you can basically just add the annotation and it should automatically and immediately improve the performance of such a mapping. Good. Let me.
Christian, yeah, not really a question related to the demo, but it was more, and I don't know if that's the case. It was more if we could, if you, maybe the screen is not clear enough. So, but that's always, I guess, potentially a challenge. I don't know. That was just a comment from one of the participants. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you.
If we
it is probably a little small.
Yeah. But anyway, but I have one, and I might as before we dig into the rest, going back to master data navigator, was a question that popped up, so we might as well cover this one now. It was more related to the interaction between the left-hand menu and the right-hand screen. And the client was asking, they are not on the latest service pack yet, but they are asking if this issue already have been addressed where we are now, or if this is in the backlog. And I hope the question makes sense to you. So master data navigator, and is more related to the interaction between the left-hand menu and the right-hand screen. I don't know if we should go back and look into it again, but and if you're not with me, we take it later. But I thought I should bring.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, let's maybe take the feedback and we can follow up on this.
Okay,
no problem.
cool. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, so let me just explain a little bit what we have planned in the area of integration capabilities. Most prominently around our BIS mapping runtime. An important aspect, of course, is the migration from big mappings to BIS mapper. We are investing here heavily and using our latest and greatest approaches, using data-driven approach from analyzing basically input and output of, let's say, legacy maps, and working with that information to create a better approach in recreating the mapping logic into the new BIS mapper. We're obviously using language models here as well to train and improve the results of such a migration. We are working with some pilot customers on this topic as well, to ingest basically a large library of input-output information and improving the results of such a migration approach over time. So that's certainly an important topic for any and all of our customers to be able to quickly and hopefully in a largely automated fashion to migrate from an existing library of big mappings to corresponding BIS mappings. On the platform side, we're working on further integration with the HashiCorp Vault for credential handling, primarily around passwords and key material, to better integrate all of our adapters and other areas where credentials are used for database access, for remote access to partners, and so on. And we continue to research and implement new connectors as we come across use cases and requirements. In the technology advantage area, recently released, as always, our new Java runtime. We are currently working with runtime, Java runtime version 21. These are available in the mentioned releases. And of course, this also includes lots of security related topics. These are always listed out in detail in our release notes. We have added support for Windows Server 2025 in the platform. We also officially support the Azure SQL managed instances as a system database. And we've made further enhancements in our user management service around its API. And we have removed a deprecated feature to act on behalf of a user. Let me come over to our next demo. This is for the Filetransfer server and agent. So this adapter is used for our partner integration across a number of transfer protocols. The Filetransfer server allows us to set up accounts and then define for each account what access is permitted. We currently support 4 types, the classic SFTP and FTP protocols. We also support the Filetransfer server agent, which is our version of the data transfer agent residing on a remote system. And we also allow accessing the transfer server through a REST API. For the agent specifically, we can define for each account one or more agents, and the agent is basically a small and self-contained application that can be remotely installed and configured through the central system, and allows us to then act on the data transmissions in both directions. So it allows us to set up an automatic sending of files from the agent to the central server, and vice versa, receiving files from the central server back to the agent, and basically acting on file events on the agent side. So let me show you a simple use case. We might have a data transmission. I'm going to be using, for example, WinSCP to just upload a file from my local machine to the transfer server. So the logging here through SFTP, I will upload the file to the data upload folder. Just any file will work. Well, transmitting the file, as soon as the transmission is completed, we already see that the file is vanished. It is now already being processed by the central server. So let me show the processing here. So we see file transfer came in through, in this case, SFTP to the account. File name is displayed here. This, as usual, triggers a process with a entity, an operation here, then takes the file and actually hands it over to another account in the file transfer server. Now, this second account is configured to take any file that comes in and move it over to a remote agent. And that remote agent will then store the file locally. So this could be, for example, a host application or just another remote site that receives the file and just stores it locally. Now, the interesting thing here is that we see, of course, the local processing in the central BIS, which basically ends here at the step process finished. So this is what BIS on the central system performs. But now we also see that we have a few more steps here that are lightly colored in green and are actually now performed on the remote agent. So the remote agent receives the file and actually stores it then in the local file system on that remote side. So the additional steps that file transfer client or agent are performing are also listed out here and allow us to basically monitor the entire transmission end to end. From receiving the file through SFTP from a partner, through processing it in the central BIS, through finally then processing it on the remote server where the file transfer server agent is installed, and then successfully storing it in the remote file system. We see this here in the file client response happening on the file transfer server agent, saved it into a local folder here, and that then completes the end-to-end transmission. So it integrates the file transfer agent into the monitoring of the entire process flow. Yeah, and as I said, the Filetransfer server itself is protocol agnostic, meaning a partner can use any of the allowed protocols to transfer files. They could use the REST API. They could, of course, also have their own file transfer agent installed, or use one of the traditional protocols to transmit files over. Ulf, do we see any questions for this topic?
No, this was very straightforward. So
yep.
No questions? No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me highlight a few things we have planned for technology improvements. We are working on enhancing our user management to allow login with OpenID, similar sign-on protocol as OAuth. We're also working on enhancing our platform and especially the Global Help Center with further integration of our documentation and context-sensitive help. And we have a plan to develop also a WebSocket client, complementing the WebSocket controller that we have shipped a few releases ago. In operational cost reduction, what have we achieved here in the latest quarter? We've enhanced and improved the performance of our TP lookup, specifically for PostgreSQL databases. These are becoming more and more popular in cloud deployments, both in AWS as well as in Azure. Much lower TCO for these database types, and so of course we need to make sure that they are well supported and perform at a same level as the, let's say, more established SQL Server or Oracle systems. We've also made enhancements in the reorganization of our runtime data, enabled the chunking of the data purging by default to make this perform well. And then we've also enhanced the user management service and its performance for systems, especially with many logical systems, which is important for our own cloud operations, but also for lots of our customers that work a lot with logical systems. In the secure proxy, we've also integrated HashiCorp Vault here for the secrets management. So both the control server and the fences can use HashiCorp Vault here to store their secrets centrally and allow you to manage this information in your central vault. What have we further planned here? We are enhancing the process monitoring for multi-system environments. So we want to enable you to use the process monitoring across systems, not just within each individual system. We are enhancing the API gateways to completely disable payload storage and switch to a streaming approach, again here to improve the performance of those gateways. We're still working on the topic of migrating a tenant from one system to another. So between logical systems, either within one landscape or across landscapes. And we are working on the harmonized visualization of the audit logging and allowing you to better browse the audit log for your certification and security audits. Finally, in the area of deployment, what have we released here? In the platform, we've enabled the virtual file system to work with external data stores. This allows us to centralize data store as a central service for multiple BIS systems, and then basically shifting the services to that central instance of the data store. We're also delivering the fences for secure proxy as container images and allowing this to automatically register with the container registry. So simplifying the deployment of the different application modules across your landscape. And then what else have we planned here? This is a repeating topic. We're still working on enhancing the dynamic and elastic scaling support for the cloud and Kubernetes deployment. Continuing to work also on application and service definitions as code for your DevOps and GitOps management. And then we're continuing also to evaluate new cloud native databases as they come along and as we encounter them in projects and requirements. Yeah, this concludes our webinar for today. Time for any further questions. Ulf, do we have anything?
Nothing specific. I think this was quite straightforward, everything. We had the earlier one. Maybe we can get back to the one I mentioned around functionality within Master Data Navigator. I think we can follow up on that separately. No, I think we are good for now. A little bit earlier than usual, but I guess everyone will get some time back. So maybe we can remind you all on our event site. You should now have. You can sign up for all the planned the quarterly events next year. There are a few other ones we are planning as well with regard to the overall business integration suite. You all see the events at our event site, and please sign up to whatever you find interesting. I think that's there. The next one kind of cover our community. If you're not part of that, please feel free to join. You can exchange ideas with peers, other type of SEEBURGER users, interact with our development, so on and so forth. This is important for us, and it should be important for you as well. So if you haven't done that, please feel free to do that. Yes, when you sign out, there will be a survey, and again, any ideas are good ideas. Please feel free to put these forward, and then we will try to address this in these type of webcasts. By the way, there was a question that popped up here. We have some time. It's related to the Java front end. Maybe you can see it as well, Christian, in the question chat box. If not, I can read it for you. It's related to the Java front end and capacity. I'm not sure if it's clear, if you can see it.
Yeah, I'm checking. I see
the last one that you
currently, with the current releases, we're still delivering the classic Java front end as an app. Yeah, we're still delivering it. I'm assuming we're still going to be doing this into the next year. Yeah. So of course it's helpful if you have specific use cases or challenges that require you to still use the old Java-based front end, then please let us know so that we can address those ASAP in the new Navigator and Monitor apps.
We also got a question if we can if you can ask questions related to what was not covered in this webcast, and of course we can always try to cover that. We have time, so whoever asked this, now we have something coming in here. Do you see it, Christian, or shall I read it for you?
Yeah, the question is, what is the difference, or why is there a difference between active processes within insights and active under user actions? Not sure. I mean, the active processes within insights should show the all active processes in the current time frame, right? So the time frame that is stored there, we can see this. Let me maybe see if I can bring this up. When we look at the time frame here and look at the insights, so we have typically shown here in the latest iteration of our little insights dashboard, we see the categories, and we see always the last hour, the last 24 hours, and then the maximum time range, which I believe on this system is 10 days. So if we click on here in any of these, we should have a matching number, last hour 216. So this is correct. Of course, it is easier, or it matches closely on a system that has a let's say a volume, a lower volume. The higher the volume, the more frequent processes go through here. Of course, these numbers constantly keep changing. So when you click here, it might already change on the back end. So you might already see more than 216 or fewer. In the user actions, I'm not sure what in what capacity you're seeing this in the user actions. Yeah, we don't really have a good example here currently, but yeah. So I think it really depends a little bit on the, oh, just this active, okay. Oh, you mean the active here would mean, yeah. I think this is, I mean, this is generally the same as the active processes and active, this should, I mean, yeah, this just drops the term processes here. So this means active processes, if all processes failed, final. Still means processes as the main menu item here indicates. So no particular difference there, I think, right? I think we've adjusted this now also here to have the topic is processes, and then we have the corresponding all active, failed, final, interrupted, pending. So these should match exactly to what we see in the sorry, in the view here. So if I click on all, it takes me directly to processes all. So hopefully this is now also clear in the latest release here, which is 6.7.178.
Cool. That was good. A little bit of an ad hoc Q&A, but that's always interesting. Thank you,
Sure.
Christian.
Yep.
10 minutes left. I think we give that back to all of you. Thank you very much for the session today. Yeah, have a good one. Questions, email us, and have a good rest of end of the year. And yeah, thank you very much.
Yep. Enjoy the holidays, enjoy the holiday season, and we'll see you again in January.
We have a happy Halloween coming up, so then we can add that to it as well. So all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.